Good afternoon, I'm Ed Pozzuoli, President of Tripp Scott, and today we're joined by the Superintendent of Schools in Broward County, Bob Runcie. Superintendent, welcome.
Hey Ed, I'm glad to be here on your show for the first time. It's a pleasure.
Wow, I mean, this is an honor to have you here. Let's jump right into, a couple of years ago, the voters of Broward County passed a bond deal and for capital construction, technology, a variety of things under the bond. Give everybody a little bit of update about how, where is the progress of the use of those monies?
Sure, and let me just back up a little bit and say that the whole premise and the facts around a bond are that the district has over $3 billion worth of unmet needs, and so we put together a strategy to address some of the most critical needs first, such as our roofs, our air conditioning systems, also investing in technology, making sure that they're safe. And so that was approved by 74% of the voters. We spent several months to make sure that we had the right structure in place and the right team in place. We went through a validation process. We updated our capital program. We worked with our bond underwriters to get the first series of bonds out, put our program managers in place, as well as the bond oversight committee.
And all that's been done now?
All of that has been done, and today we are on track to deliver all of this work, which is about 1,400 projects across every school in Broward County. We're on track to deliver that within 5 to 7 years as we promised. Today we have about 683 projects underway. That represents a value of about $475 million worth of work. Our technology investment, we've deployed over 54,000 computing devices within the past year and a half, valued at about $50 million. We've done and completed the computer network infrastructure upgrades in our schools, about 129 schools. So there's a lot of work that's underway and in place.
So both on the construction side and the technology side, through the system that you've put in place, the validation system, all the input of various constituencies, the money, where it goes and how it's used, all that is working, and you have all these projects now going and using the bond money for the purpose that the voters approved.
And one of the things that we did to make sure that issues in the past didn't occur, a couple things. One is, before the bond was passed, we were very explicit about the scope of work that would be done at each school. That's clear. We put a bond oversight committee in place.
Right.
We've engaged Florida Tax Watch to also work with our bond oversight committee. So when you look at the school board, our taxpayers, the bond oversight committee, Florida Tax Watch, we also have an internal audit department, we also have external auditors. There's a really great level of transparency and oversight that goes on with this work, and I'm pretty proud of that infrastructure we put in place.
But let me go back to the point, because I want to make sure that we clarify for everybody watching. The public monies that were borrowed with these bonds had certain requirements.
Yes.
You've just described kind of a process to ensure that the public monies are used for the express purpose that was told to the voters and the voters voted on a couple of years ago and overwhelmingly approved the bond. All that is in place, and the projects, there's how many projects now underway?
There's about 683 projects. There's about 1,400 in total. So just a lot of work across a lot of our schools. And yeah, one of the things that has come out early on is that we got off to a late start with 3 of our largest projects. They're the most complex ones. It's Stranahan, Blanche Ely, and Northeast High Schools. We got off to a late start with those, but part of my directive to our staff and communications to our school board is that if we find anything wrong within our process, or we feel that we're not in a position to ensure that our district and taxpayers are getting the best value for their money, we will do a pause and we will go and redo what we need to do to make sure we put ourselves in the best position, and we have. And I'm happy to say that work is well underway with those 3 entities, as well as 680 other school projects that are out there today. So again, everything's on track. Will be completed within the 5 to 7 years. As I tell people, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. We're not going to get all this work done in a single year,
Right.
nor are we changing the scope of anything that we promised everyone. That has been laid out. It's very clear. We're not going to shift dollars and projects around. We're going to get this work done as intended. And so, again, we're pretty proud of the transparency that we put in place, the safeguards and structure that we have around it to ensure that everybody's accountable at all levels to making sure that we deliver what we promise.
I mean, so that it's on track, in other
Yes,
words.
it is.
All
Yeah.
right. That's an important point to
Yeah,
send out.
absolutely. Because look, the community has to continue to have trust in public sector entities in which they provide dollars to.
Right.
74% of the voters approve this. They have trust in what we're doing.
And we're going to have to pay it back.
Right, and we're
Right.
we're going to deliver it for them, not only in the scope of work, but ultimately they're going to see this translate into improvements in the quality of the educational experiences that our children are having in the classroom.
And that's ultimately the key.
Yes.
So you're coming up to your fifth year since you've been superintendent of Broward County Schools. So tell us when you started and where we've been and where are we now and maybe where we're going in the next couple of years.
Well, Ed, it's been an interesting journey. I came into this district October 2011, 9 months after a grand jury report. 2 school board members were arrested. We had huge issues with meeting class size requirements. In fact, Broward County accounted for over 70% of the out-of-compliance classrooms in the state of Florida,
Right.
facing a $66 million fine. Worked with the legislature, successfully reduced that. And then we've worked through the last few years to make sure that we are compliant, that we're doing what's right for our kids in our community. And we've moved from 52% compliant to over 90%. In the last 2 years, we haven't had any fines whatsoever. We had huge issues with student discipline. We had the largest number of students being arrested, expelled from schools. We worked through a collaborative process with local law enforcement, the judicial system, social service agencies, and we put a great program in place that's now become a national model, and we've reduced student arrests by 65% while reducing incidents of student behavior. So we're really changing the culture in our schools. We had layoffs in 2010, over 1,400 teachers were laid off, employees were on furloughs. We've worked to hire back teachers and even add on top of what we've had. I can tell you over the last 3 years, our teachers in Broward County received the largest pay increases out of any district in South Florida, and so we're pretty proud of what we've been able to do. Transportation was a big problem. We had the highest transportation costs. We're now down to the state average. We've saved over $9 million there. We had healthcare costs growing at double digits, and with a healthcare spend of about $200 million, that's significant. We changed our model to a self-insured model, restructured our contracts, and over the last couple of years, we've saved over $30 million with that. And Wall Street's actually even taken notice. We have now, this year, had the highest bond rating that we've had in over a decade by Standard & Poor's and Moody's. So we've really worked to address all those issues. And I say a big part of leadership and what we should do is to face problems and challenges that you have head on and turn those challenges into opportunities to improve as an organization. I think that's what we do well at Broward.
And so with all that progress, what does the next couple of years bring Broward County Schools?
Well, that progress has enabled us to invest in our classrooms, invest in our teachers. We've invested in innovative programs. We have the largest debate program in the country, 12,000 students in 90 schools. It's a great skill for all our kids to be able to look at information, to be able to analyze it, think critically, communicate effectively. We have expanded computer science from 240 students in the district when I came in to over 38,000 today. We have scholastic chess, which is integrated into our math curriculum. Every second and third grader in Broward County, all 38,000 of them, learn scholastic chess as part of their critical thinking and strategic skills. We've expanded dual language programs. There was one dual language program where students are taught in English and Spanish during the day. We've increased that to 35 schools today. So we continue to expand our programs. And I can tell you, when I came into the district, we were losing enrollment. We had lost about 8,200 students in the prior 3 years. Today, that has leveled off, and in the last couple of years, we've seen a slight improvement in enrollment in Broward County schools.
How many kids are in Broward County Schools?
Broward County Public Schools currently has 271,000 students, about 15,000 teachers, delivering some high quality instruction to our kids every day.
That number 271, that includes charters as well?
That includes charters. In our charter schools, we have 101 charter schools, approximately 45,000 students in our charters. I believe that they're part of the public school system. I know there's always this perceived and sometimes real tension between charters and traditional schools. My philosophy is that we just need to make sure that every school, whether it's a traditional school or a charter school, is high quality and delivering great educational services to all students.
I think on that end, I'll close out this interview and say thank you for your work and your service to the community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ed. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure.